all I know is that I gave everything that I had and some, and so that's the main thing. I can't go back and be disappointed because at the end of the day, I'm 16, running grown man time. I'm running grown man time, so yeah.
Quincy Wilson didn't just show up at the Olympics, he rewrote history. At only 16 years old, he stepped onto the world's biggest stage and left fans everywhere in disbelief. Too young to drive in most states, yet fast enough to outrun the world's best, Wilson's performance at the 2024 Paris Games wasn't just impressive, it was unforgettable. His journey, his determination, and the way he shattered expectations have made him more than a rising star. He's the future of track and field. Born on January 8, 2008, Quincy Wilson had always been fast. According to his mother, Monique, he was already sprinting around the house before he could even speak clearly. His childhood energy was almost unmanageable, leading her to sign him up for soccer at just 3 years old. But it quickly became clear that Quincy wasn't just active, he was a natural-born athlete. His father, Roy Wilson, a decorated U.S. Navy submarine commander and former football player at the Naval Academy, and his mother, a Hall of Fame basketball and soccer player, had passed on more than just genetics. They passed down grit, discipline, and a mindset geared toward excellence. By the age of 7, Quincy's natural speed had made tag games on the playground nearly unfair. His classmates would joke that it wasn't even worth trying to outrun him. That same year, he joined the Fort Meade High Steppers, a youth track team on a Maryland military base. And just 1 year later, Quincy, only 8 at the time, placed 4th in the 400 meters at the AAU Junior Olympics. That moment was pivotal. Competing against the best young athletes in the country, Quincy didn't just hold his own, he realized he could dominate. The next year, he returned and won the national title in the 400 meters. He would go on to defend that title 5 out of the next 6 years. The only break in his reign came during the COVID pandemic. By age 9, Quincy and his family had moved to Chesapeake, Virginia, and he joined Track 757, a youth club that trained several times a week. He continued playing football as well, splitting his time between wide receiver safety and his ever-growing ambitions on the track. It wasn't until a minor arm injury during freshman year, caused by fluid buildup during football, that Quincy made the full switch to track. His coach at Bullis School, Joe Lee, remembers being blown away after just 1 month of training. Quincy ran a 45.06 split in the 400 meters. That same year, he became the first freshman to win the 400-meter national title at New Balance Nationals. But what impressed Coach Lee even more wasn't Quincy's speed. It was his mindset. "He wasn't happy about us coming in second, not that he was upset with the team," said Lee. He was upset with himself because he thought he could do more. Quincy's ambition only grew. In 2024, he ran events ranging from the 200 meters to the 800 meters, but the 400 meters was always his strongest race. That spring, he defended his indoor title at New Balance Nationals and added the outdoor crown to his resume. But the U.S. Olympic trials were where he truly made history. In the quarterfinals of the 400 meters at the trials, Quincy ran a blistering 44.66 seconds, breaking a 42-year-old U-18 world record. That would have been enough for a career highlight for most young athletes. But Quincy wasn't done. Just 2 days later, he broke his own record in the semifinals with a 44.59. Though he finished 6th in the final and didn't qualify individually, his performance stunned the track world. Team USA couldn't ignore the potential. Quincy was officially named to the men's 4x400-meter relay team, making him the youngest male track and field Olympian in U.S. history, at just 16. That title had belonged to Jim Ryun since 1964, until Quincy took it. Arriving in Paris for the 2024 Summer Olympics, Quincy carried not only the pressure of competition, but also the weight of history. He was surrounded by veterans. Some of his Olympic teammates had children older than him. But Quincy didn't flinch. During the opening ceremony, he stood side by side with NBA legends like LeBron James and Jason Tatum, and he trained like he belonged, because he did. When it came time for the 4x400-meter relay heats, Quincy was chosen to run the first leg, a crucial position in any relay. But it didn't go as planned. He clocked 47.27 seconds, nearly 3 seconds slower than his best. Team USA fell to 7th, For a moment, it looked like Quincy's Olympic debut would be remembered for all the wrong reasons, but what happened next told you everything you needed to know about him. Vernon Norwood, the second-leg runner, surged back into contention with a jaw-dropping 43.54 split. Bryce Deadman and Christopher Bailey finished the job, bringing the U.S. home in 2 minutes 59.15 seconds, enough to qualify for the final. I was in the moment watching a 16-year-old running in the Olympics making history, Norwood said. I was very proud of him, and I'm just looking at him and like, oh, snap back in and let me get the stick and get it going. Quincy later said, it hasn't, but probably when I get home. I'll probably soak it all in then. The goal was to be able to get the baton around. It's just going to be motivation for me to come back. He wasn't blaming his slow start on nerves or the pressure. He simply acknowledged the moment and looked ahead. Quincy's Olympic performance proved two things. 1, he has the heart of a champion. 2, he's only getting started. His coach calls him one of the most coachable athletes he's ever worked with. His parents describe him as humble, hungry, and deeply spiritual. Quincy himself says he's not focused on medals, he's focused on legacy. And the world has taken notice. LeBron James met him in Paris. Media outlets across the globe covered his Olympic journey. Social media exploded with clips of his record-breaking trials. And fans couldn't stop talking about the teenager who almost saved the U.S. relay team from disaster. Back home in Maryland, his school honored him for his athletic and academic achievements. He made the honor roll and received the Head of Upper School Award, which, according to his parents, meant just as much as any medal. His mother posted online, as parents, we don't just care how many races he's won or records he's broken. Hearing the head of school speak so highly of him made tears fall from our eyes. It's that balance of focus, family, and faith that makes Quincy Wilson more than just another young star. With the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics on the horizon, Quincy will be 20 years old. Still young, but now seasoned. And with his work ethic and talent, there's no telling what he could accomplish. Since Paris, Quincy has continued training under Coach Joe Lee, but he's also taken time to give back. He's appeared at youth track events across the country, sharing advice, signing autographs, and even running short relay demonstrations with kids. To them, he's already a hero, and he embraces that responsibility. He's also been vocal about mental preparation. He's been studying sports psychology, recovery techniques, and nutrition to ensure he returns even stronger. Meanwhile, sponsorships are beginning to roll in, with several major brands lining up to support his journey. Because what he did at 16, that wasn't luck. That was preparation meeting opportunity. That was grit forged in playground games, national championships, and grueling practices. He didn't just run, he inspired. He reminded the world that greatness doesn't come with age, it comes with heart. This is just the beginning. Quincy Wilson is no longer the underdog. He's the future, and the world is watching. Quincy Wilson just became the fastest teenager in the history of the 400 meters. But here's the crazy part. He didn't just break the record once, he broke it 3 times in 2 months. And each time, people couldn't believe what they were seeing. Let's go back to where this all started. June 2024, the U.S. Olympic trials. This is where the best runners in America compete for a spot on the Olympic team. These are professionals, adults who have been training for years. And then there's Quincy, a 16-year-old from Maryland. He lines up for his first race. The gun goes off, and when he crosses the finish line, everyone looks at the clock. 44.66 seconds. Wait, that can't be right. The old high school record was 44.69, and that record had stood for 42 years. Quincy just destroyed it in his first race, but he wasn't done. 2 days later, he runs again in the semifinals. This time, 44.59 seconds. He broke his own record, the one he set 2 days earlier. Then came the finals. Quincy finished 6th place overall with 44.94 seconds. 6th place sounds normal, right? Except remember, these are the best runners in America. Professional athletes. and a high school kid just competed with them. Not only that, he earned a spot on the Olympic relay team. At 16 years old, Quincy became the youngest male track athlete ever to make a U.S. Olympic team. But the story gets even crazier. 1 month later, July 19th, 2024, Gainesville, Florida, the Holloway Pro Classic. This is a professional race, not a high school meet. Quincy is racing against Olympic athletes again. The race starts, and Quincy is running side by side with Bryce Deadman. Deadman is a professional. He had just made the Olympic team too. These two are flying down the track, neck and neck. Nobody can tell who's winning. They cross the finish line. Everyone looks at the scoreboard. Quincy Wilson, 44.20 seconds. Bryce Deadman, 44.23 seconds.
Wilson and Deadman headed to Paris, and they meet the line at the same time. 44.2.
Quincy won by 0.03 of a second, but more importantly, he just broke the world under 18 record. Again, for the third time in 60 days, a high school kid just beat a professional Olympic athlete. The number 44.20 put Quincy at number 6 in the entire world for 2024. Not number 6 for high schoolers, number 6 in the world. He was faster than Michael Norman, one of America's top professional runners. The only American faster than Quincy was Quincy Hall, the world leader. But wait, there's more to this story, because that wasn't even his fastest time. August 2024, Paris, France, the Olympic Games, the biggest stage in all of sports. Quincy is there. At 16 years old, representing the United States, the men's 4x400 meter relay has heats first. 4 runners each run 400 meters and pass a baton. Quincy runs the first leg. He splits 47.27 seconds. Not his best time. Actually, it's much slower than what we know he can do. He hands off the baton in 7th place. But his teammates are incredible. Vernon Norwood runs next, then Bryce Deadman, then Christopher Bailey. Team USA qualifies for the finals. The next day comes the final race, the race for the gold medal. But here's the thing, Quincy doesn't run in the finals. The coaches chose different runners: Christopher Bailey, Vernon Norwood, Bryce Deadman, and Rai Benjamin. And they were unstoppable. They won the gold medal. They set a new Olympic record, 2:54.43. Just 0.14 seconds away from the world record that was set back in 1993. Now you might be thinking, Quincy didn't run in the finals. Does he still get a medal? Yes. Because he ran in the heats, he earned a gold medal too. At 16 years old, Quincy Wilson became the youngest track and field athlete ever to win an Olympic gold medal. Most athletes would celebrate and take a break after winning Olympic gold. Not Quincy. He kept training. He kept racing. He kept getting faster. Fast forward to July 2025, Memphis, Tennessee, the Ed Murphy Classic. Quincy is now 17 years old. He just finished his high school season, and he's about to race against professional athletes again, including Stephen Gardner, the Olympic 400-meter champion from the Bahamas. Think about that. A high school kid racing against the Olympic gold medalist in the individual 400 meters. The race begins. Quincy starts in lane 5. He runs the first 200 meters with confidence. Then in the final stretch, he surges forward. He pulls away from everyone, including the Olympic champion. He crosses the finish line. The clock stops. 44.10 seconds. The crowd goes silent, then erupts. Quincy just ran 44.10. He broke his own record again. The record he set in Florida last year. He took off 1 full tenth of a second. His closest competitor? Bryce Deadman, the same professional he beat last year. Deadman finished in 44.39. Quincy beat him by nearly 0.3 of a second. Let's talk about how insane this really is. Quincy's time of 44.10 makes him the second fastest under-20 athlete in history, ever, in the entire world. The only person faster is Steve Lewis. He ran 43.87 at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea, and Steve Lewis was 19 years old when he did it. He also won the gold medal that day. Quincy is 17, and he's only 0.77 seconds away from that record, a record that has stood for 37 years. But here's another crazy stat. Quincy's 44.10 made him the 4th fastest person in the entire world in 2025. Not 4th fastest teenager, 4th fastest person. Period. After the race, Quincy talked to reporters. He said, "Staying to my coach's plan and trusting his process. I feel like this season is really starting to come upon what I've been working for right now." Notice what he said. This season is starting to come together. Starting, which means he thinks he can go even faster. Being this good this young comes with attention. Quincy has 393,000 followers on Instagram. People recognize him, some people cheer for him, some people doubt him. He even mentioned that he dealt with hecklers at the Memphis race. But Quincy handles it well. He said, "I feel like when it comes with being who I am, the fame and everything has gone up and escalated. I'm just thankful for it. Every single part of it. You'll have the goods and you'll have the bad. But those are the things that make Quincy Wilson." That's a mature response from a 17-year-old. Most teenagers would struggle with that kind of pressure, but Quincy embraces it, the good and the bad. So how did Quincy get here? He started running when he was 8 years old. His parents, Monique and Roy Wilson, saw his talent early. They made a big decision. They moved their family from Chesapeake, Virginia to Maryland. Why? So Quincy could attend Bully School in Potomac, Maryland, a school known for its track program. It was the right choice. Quincy's cousin, Shania Hall, graduated from Bullis in 2020. She went on to run track at the University of Oregon, so running fast is in the family. When Quincy was just 14 years old, he broke a national record that had stood for 30 years, Obia Moore's under 14 record in the 400 meters. That's when people started paying attention. By the time Quincy was 16, he had won 5 AAU Junior Olympic Games titles. He set high school records in the 400 meters, 500 meters, and 600 meters. He anchored his school's relay team to multiple national records. And in September 2023, Quincy signed a name, image, and likeness deal with New Balance, one of the biggest shoe companies in the world. He was one of the youngest athletes ever to sign a major NIL deal. So what happens next? Quincy hasn't decided if he'll go to college or turn professional. He could compete in college and continue developing, or he could skip college and start racing professionally for money right now. Either way, one thing is clear. Quincy Wilson is chasing Steve Lewis's under-20 world record of 43.87 seconds. And based on how fast he's improving, it's not a matter of if he'll break it, it's when. And if his progression continues the way it has been, that record is going down. At just 16, Uwezo Lubenda is shaking up Australian sprinting. One race, one record-breaking run. That's all it took for him to prove that Gout isn't the only rising star anymore. His blazing 100-meter sprint didn't just break records, it sent a message that a new rivalry has officially begun. In front of a stunned crowd in northern Queensland, Lubenda, who hails from Townsville, clocked an astonishing 10.35 seconds in the 100 meters. That time broke Hugh Donovan's under-16 record of 10.73, set all the way back in 2010. To call it a breakthrough would be an understatement. For context, this time would have been fast enough to move past the preliminary heats at the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, a senior-level global event. And it couldn't have come at a more interesting time. Just a year older, Gout, Australia's reigning sprint sensation, had previously dominated the headlines. At only 17, he'd already represented his country at the World Championships, reached the semifinals in the 200 meters, and smashed the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters twice in a single day. His time of 10.17 seconds at the age of 16 remains among the best ever seen at that level. But now, there's a new contender on the track. Uwezo Lubenda's performance doesn't just rival Gout's, it redefines the conversation. This isn't just about being fast. This is about stepping onto a stage that only a select few in the world are invited to. Gout has competition, and Australia has two teenage sprinting juggernauts heading toward the 2032 Brisbane Olympics. What makes Lubenda's emergence even more compelling is the journey that brought him here. Born in January 2009, Lubenda is a Congolese immigrant who moved to Australia with his family in 2013. Since then, he has steadily risen through the ranks, powered by raw talent, discipline, and the unwavering belief that he belongs among the world's best. After receiving his gold medal from former Olympian Paul DiBella, Lubenda told the Townsville Bulletin, "Man, I feel amazing. I was kind of hoping for a time like that. I wasn't thinking too much about it, but I'm really grateful." That humility, combined with blistering speed, makes him a dangerous prospect. In fact, this isn't just about record times, it's about how he wins. At the Queensland event, Lubenda didn't just edge out the competition, he dominated it. Eyewitness reports and event footage described him finishing with a huge lead ahead of the chasing pack. That kind of race execution speaks to more than speed. It speaks to composure, confidence, and world-class athletic maturity. His coach advised him to stay relaxed, stick to his rhythm, and keep it simple.